Welcome, everyone. Welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is James Kierstead. I am a passionate rainforester, an entrepreneur. I own a company called LWOL Electronics. We make wireless controls for home automation. I'm also an A100 member, a member of Entrepreneurs Organization, and been in the rainforest since just not quite day one, but pretty close. So for today, I'm super excited to, and I know Bridget's going to do a proper introduction, but my friend, Carrie Houston, who is also an A100 member, is speaking today. And I really love what she does for small businesses, especially in the tech space. So I'm super excited to co-host today. Few ground rules. Use the raise your hand function and ask to speak using the chat. Say, comment or question, you can throw it in the chat. Please stay muted until it's your turn to speak and don't interrupt during the presentation. You can jump in without being called on. This helps me, if you jump in without being called on, we don't get quite the flow in the whole thing. There are chat and resources will be captured in the lunch notes and placed on Slack, okay? So what's the rainforest? I like to do this at the beginning of every one. It reminds everybody what we're all about. And it really is an analogy. Unlike farms, where all the factors are understood, controlled, and optimized for particular outcomes, these command and control structures are designed for delivering controlled outcomes and maximizing expected results. However, farms really don't lend themselves well to innovation or new ideas. Innovation is at its very core about taking risks and exploring new concepts that are previously untried or unknown. Farms, on the other hand, are risk adverse and risk minimizing engines. Rainforests are wild, untamed spaces where new ideas can sprout, and if they are well adapted to the environment, thrive. Our vision for Rainforest Alberta is to create a world-class community of dreamers and doers connected by a common goal of making Alberta fertile ground for building, developing, and growing innovative ideas into sustainable ventures. Our mission is to connect the innovation ecosystem by strengthening the movement behind the Alberta tech industry around a framework of shared values, of collaboration, community, and trust through storytelling. And for those who aren't familiar, we have what's called a social contract. These are really an agreement of the values that we will all agree upon together. It's shared, and we ask individuals to agree to it and sign it individually. It really is our code of conduct for how we interact with each other in the ecosystem. And the rainforest itself is really based on 6 sort of pillars that we know interact together to help form the culture in an ecosystem, build an ecosystem. There's culture, leaders, resources, engaged activities, policy and infrastructure, and of course, role models. We spend most of our time supporting that cultural leadership and safe, connected environment. With that, I'll pass you over to Bridget, and I look forward to seeing your presentation, Carrie.
All right, thanks, James. Sorry for the clunky visuals there. I know James usually shares his own screens, and I thought, oh, he's not, I'll throw it in. And then I got this beautiful new Effie desk, and I've arranged all my monitors, and I'm a little confused. So here we are. As James mentioned, we have the wonderful Carrie Houston today. For those who haven't been around Lunch Without Lunch throughout 2021, we've kind of been running with the theme of demystifying the startup world. And part of that conversation has been around different roles that exist in startups when founders need to implement some of these roles, hire from outside, and also what those careers look like for all of those curious Calgarians who we see here in the rainforest every day, looking for careers in tech and making those pivots. And so for those of you who don't know Carrie, Carrie is on a mission to help founders and teams accelerate their growth. She has over 25 years of experience working in leadership roles in marketing, product, sales, and business development. for startups and scale-ups in both Toronto and Calgary. She's currently fulfilling this mission at 321 Growth Academy. So 321 is Calgary-based, their offices, and it provides hands-on training for founders and their team members to learn the key skills they need to grow, namely helping them learn how to sell, market, and build and manage high-performing teams. She's worked with over 280 companies to date. We know that growing great companies takes a village and a community, as we promote in the rainforest. So Carrie is equally passionate about building and fostering a thriving tech ecosystem to support these companies. She is an active participant in the local community, a volunteer mentor, and a proud member of the A100. So Carrie, without further ado, I'll hand it over to you. And Carrie has an awesome panel joining her today. So take it away.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thanks to the Rainforest, Bridget and James for having us here today. I'm not going to talk too much about 321 because Bridget already introduced me, so that was easy. Check us out if you're interested. You know, I think everybody here knows, but just in case, like when I say sales, what I mean is it's really the process of converting customer demand into revenue. Or if you're a social enterprise, there might be other metrics, but it's really about kind of driving that customer demand into money by solving their problems and adding value. And so, you know, sales in, you know, as Bridget talked about, you know, really hoping to inspire some folks that want to take a look at sales as a career. So I want to talk a little bit about how sales in an early stage company is different. And then we're going to spend most of our time today hearing from other folks that are probably a whole lot more interesting than me. First off, startup sales. So in startup sales is different. It's different. In an established company, I think sales is a lot more straightforward. You know, the business model is already validated. You've kind of figured a bunch of stuff out. You have a proven approach to sales that you know is working. You've probably got a marketing department of people that are there to support you. And there's a broader team that's kind of got all the bases covered. So winning at sales in an established company is mostly about attracting the right people, keeping them around, and managing them so that they can perform really well. So it's almost like a people and culture thing. But in an early stage company, sales is a bit of a mashup. It's a little bit of product, a little bit of sales, a little bit of customer success, sometimes marketing, sometimes ops, sometimes IT stack and tools. And so it's different because the skill set is different. And it often in those early days, we don't have dedicated resources. We've kind of got, everybody's wearing lots of different hats and you probably are really shy of resources. You just don't have enough time or money. So winning at sales in an early stage company is really different. It requires, you know, you got to have that solid foundation of growth. Like you have to know who you're selling to and your value and so on. But it's mostly about building an effective and scalable approach to sales, your process, having a really great message that resonates with your buyers, and kind of taking a lean approach because you're figuring out what is working. You don't know the answer, but you're trying to get to the answer. So startup sales is really different. And today we've got an awesome panel of people at all stages that are going to share with us their experiences. We've got Jeff Park, who's an account executive at Tugboat Logic, a very rapid growing company here. Jessica Collenbin, who's the manager of the sales development team at Absorb. So big congratulations on the announcement from Absorb yesterday. Well done. We've got Ian Splinter. He's a product manager at Wyvern. You're like, why is a product manager here on a sales panel? Because it's a mashup, right? And Michaela Maybach, manager of sales and business development at Cement, another great unicorn that is emerging here in Alberta. So I'm going to stop the share now so that we can see the faces, because that's what, you know, in the days of Zoom, that's kind of what I'm interested in these days. And I'm going to invite our awesome panel to introduce themselves, and then we're going to get into some questions. So I've got some questions. I'm sure you have some questions. So just raise your hand if you have a question, and Joe can help me moderate. So maybe we'll start, Michaela, with you. If you can introduce yourself, just talk a little bit about what's your current role, what's the 20 seconds or less, 10 words or less introduction of what Cement is all about, and what is your favorite COVID activity?
Oh, tricky one on the last one, but thanks. Thanks, Carrie, and so excited to be here. Hey, everyone. So my name is Michaela. I'm the manager, like Carrie said, of business development and sales at Cement. The quick 10-seconder on Cement is Cement helps large enterprise companies better engage and treat and nurture their, in our one use case, delinquent customers. So we're really trying to do something different in the industry and pivot from what was done previously, a really standard process, and make it different for our end customers. Do you want me to jump into how I got into sales, Carrie?
Sure, yeah.
The first piece. So the first piece, I started at Cement about 3 years ago. Super excited, have taken on quite a few different roles kind of in the sales lens, really sales operationally focused. And then in the past year, moved into a management position where I'm really working with our business development analysts and business development reps to better engage, especially as we look at an account-based sales motion, which I'm sure we'll probably get into a little bit later. The tough question, my favorite COVID activity. Honestly, it's a basic one. I have to say, just taking a walk. I feel like we've all kind of maybe taken that for granted, but just getting outside, getting some fresh air, maybe seeing a friend that way, because it's the only way we can do it, would have to kind of top my list there.
Awesome. Jeff, let's hear from you next.
Hey everyone, my name is Jeff Park. I work with Tugboat Logic. So we work with startups and tech companies to help them get ready for external third-party audits like SOC 2, ISO 27001, privacy legislations like HIPAA, GDPR. And yeah, I guess how I got into sales is I started my own company way back when, 2011. Since then, kind of left as an operational co-founder, and that was sort of my first foray into meeting with customers to try to buy our product. But since then, kind of worked in the SDR role, love that, and then moved into the AE role as a closer of the business there. So yeah, glad to be joining, and yeah, happy to share whatever insight I might be able to kind of glean for you folks.
Favorite COVID activity, Jeff? The fun
Favorite
question.
COVID activity, yeah. So I've joined the retail trading frenzy. So Wall Street Bets is definitely where I call home during the COVID times. And yeah, just been a lot of fun kind of keeping up on the markets there.
Awesome. Jessica, let's hear from you next.
Sure, yeah. I'm Jessica. I'm the manager of sales development at Absorb Software. Absorb is a learning management system provider. So we help organizations train their people, whether it's training internal employees, selling courses externally, any kind of online learning we help them with. So obviously this past year has been very busy in the online learning world. And yeah, we had a huge announcement yesterday of some new big investments. So yeah, really exciting, especially, you know, as a Calgary-based tech company. So yeah, really, it's been awesome to be a part of that. I got involved in sales. I started at Absorb 3 years ago as an SDR. I had no sales background. I had no really even understanding of anything about the software or anything to do with it, but I knew I liked talking to people. I told myself I'd give it a year and sort of see how it went. And here I am 3 years later, and I'm running the team. So sales was really, yeah, it was something that I thoroughly enjoyed. And yeah, that I think it's an avenue that I think more people should consider and should see as an option for themselves. So yeah, my favorite COVID activity, I bought a gravel bike and I've been getting into gravel biking. I previously was strictly a mountain biker, but now I'm kind of making the transition into gravel biking as well. So
nice. Yeah. And last but not least, Ian.
Hi all. So yeah, I'm Ian. I'm at Wyvern. We are building and launching next generation of satellites that are up to 99% smaller than comparable products.
Yeah, somebody's very excited by what you're talking about, Ian.
Yes, I don't know if I get that excited, but so we're launching the satellites, and my job is to develop the markets for those. So we have a very broad base of markets. I got into sales actually when I was 15. I did the retail route. So first job was in sales, and then I started my own company, and then we were an event-based company. So COVID kind of destroyed that. And then and I moved my way over into Wyvern. Favorite COVID activity, I'm very impressed, Jeff, that you're able to make money. I did one trade and lost 90% of my money on the meme stocks. So I will stay away from that forever. But my favorite activities definitely go along the lines of walking. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed that until that's all you're able to do.
Yes.
So that's been a really good time this past couple of years. Or past year.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Thank you guys for agreeing to join us here and share all your great lessons learned and stories. So I want to start with, not a lot of people are really excited to run home and tell their mom that they just got a job in sales. If you're a dentist, if you got a great job at the airlines, it's very exciting. And, why, I'm curious why you guys think sales has a bad rap, because none of you sought out a job in sales. It kind of, you just found your way into sales and then kind of loved it. So why do you think jobs in sales have such a bad rap? And what are some of the false assumptions that people make about jobs in sales? Jessica, let's start with you.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely true. First of all, there is absolutely a bad rep for salespeople. I think a lot of it comes from, I'm just going to keep going. I think a lot of that comes from this assumption that salespeople want to sell you something, regardless. And I think that is a big misconception in a lot of industries. I mean, if a salesperson doesn't want to sell you a product that isn't the right product for you, because ultimately that's going to lead to greater headaches down the road. That person's going to be unhappy with that product. It's more of an issue for support teams down the road, things like that. So I think that is a misconception that people believe in, that, a salesperson wants to sell something no matter what. And I don't think that that's the case. And I think sales is about finding solutions and problem solving. So
Jeff, you're nodding. Yeah. Do you want to weigh in there, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say sales in general just kind of sometimes has a bad rap with regards to, I'm sure we've all had a kind of an uncomfortable sales experience in our own lifetimes, right? So we kind of equate that and think that is sort of like overarching and same across the board. But I would say, especially with regards to startup sales, especially in this day and age where you have all the information available to you out there in the internet, right? Customers can do all their own research. That human touch at the end, I think, is really valuable. And I think what I really love about sales today is our ability to not only kind of connect with clients, but really just start to get into what they really need and what their problems are. And I think I just get huge gratification out of that, just helping them actually solve a problem and providing value to them and what they're doing. So yeah, I guess it definitely is different across industries, but I would say software sales is a great place to be, especially if you like talking with people and yeah, connecting with folks to help them out.
So Michaela, was your mom super happy when you said, I want to be in sales? I know your dad was, but was your mom happy?
Yeah, I think you got that one on the head, Carrie. But it's interesting, right? So similarly to what Jessica and Jeff had mentioned, is you have this view of people like probably just picking up the phone and calling will sell you anything. But I think when you kind of open the hood of sales, you really look into the strategy that's behind it. Like before even that first engagement, before that first meeting, I think sometimes people forget of like what goes into that. And especially for that like account-based motion, how much preparation and personalization, Jeff, kind of like you mentioned, is how can you add that additional touch on top of all the problem solving once you're actually engaged with them. So I think that's the piece that I kind of like to share with people, especially because that's what my team really drives for, is how can we support our senior executives better engage with their accounts.
And Ian, what about you? So what do you tell your friends about what's, kind of dispelling some of the myths about what it's like to work in sales?
Yeah, it's what I've come to realize, I think, is one of the big areas, one of the big reasons people don't like it is because you're not really building anything, if that makes sense. So like I'm in an engineering company, everybody else builds stuff. They're actually designing, they're creating. All I do is I enable them by bringing money into the company so they can continue building. So as my job, it's not the most exciting thing. I don't really have a product to show at the end. So it's like, well, did we really need you to actually build this, or could we have done it ourselves? So as an enabler, it's not the most attractive of things compared to like I've launched and built a satellite. So that's where I think that there's that reputational harm of the sales, is that you're there as kind of a hang up. The other thing is the commission structure. A lot of people feel like they get pushed because it's commission structure in a lot of, especially enterprise sales. So a lot of people feel like, I am your bread ticket, and people don't like being somebody else's, I guess, check. So that's sort of where I've been really realizing as I've been getting older in the sales range and moving from from retail to enterprise sales, is that huge difference of as being an enabler for customers. So when I tell my friends what I do, well, I do a lot more than just sales because we're the earliest startup in the group, but it's not as cool as building satellites, but it's very important for the company.
Revenue is always cool, Ian.
Yes.
that is a
Thank
t-shirt.
you.
That's a t-shirt waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. I think a lot of, like in my experience, a lot of people don't necessarily know, like if you have people in your life that are teachers or doctors or firefighters, you have a pretty good sense of what they do every day, right? But in sales, I think a lot of people just don't understand what you do. And so I'd love to ask a little bit of a day in the life, and we've got different kinds of companies here. So maybe I'll start with you, Michaela. So Cement has been around for a while, selling to huge enterprise global companies. So what does a day in the life look like for you at Cement?
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. So a day in the life is really, honestly, as all of you know, startup world is going to change every single day. But the primary big factors, especially when I was in a more operations role, so really making sure our Salesforce, and that's the tool that we use, was really clean. How can we ensure our metrics are tracking in the right direction? We're communicating across the board. And then kind of in the newer role, when we're more looking at our support functions and business development teams and business development analysts, is how are we ensuring we're supporting our business development reps with what they need from marketing, make sure there's that constant connection. I did see that question pop up. We're meeting with marketing all the time. We're listening to what the BDR is hearing from the voice of the customer and ensuring that information is being flowed back. And then kind of on the analyst support side is we're really sitting down with our strategic accounts and looking at how can we better engage with them. So, you know, what public domain information is out there that we can hand and support our sales executives to better engage these massive enterprise deals in a very strategic and thought through way. So at a very high level, that's kind of what my day-to-day looks like. And on top of you guys, lots of Zoom meetings, lots of client calls, lots of Slack messages, and all of that.
Awesome. And Jessica, let's hear from you, from another unicorn here in Alberta at Absorb.
Yeah, absolutely. So from the sort of like the actual sales side, in terms of my SDR team and what they're doing every day, it's the frontline sales process. So we're lucky now in the way that we've grown, we have sort of different components within sales. There's different teams within the team. And the SDR team they're really that front line of communication. So they're making that first good impression for what communicating with Absorb is like. And then that trickles down through our sales process into onboarding, support, and all the way down the road. So it's really important that that team is armed with all the best information, all the best, ways to answer questions and things like that. So a lot of what I do is sort of like Michaela was saying, is just enabling that team and therefore, communicating with marketing all the time. I was just in a massive meeting with marketing right before this. So it's about that communication, and I see myself sort of as that point of contact for the different teams to enable the sales team. So the day-to-day is a lot of that, a lot of strategy, a lot of, competitor research. What are other people doing in the space? How's that working? And then, just a lot of communication and lots of Zoom meetings.
And Jeff, what about you? Because you guys are not selling to huge enterprises only. You also have lots of mid-market B2B customers. How is the day in the life different at Tugboat Logic?
Yeah, so I would say our team has the sales function structured out pretty well in terms of we have a wholesale development team that just books meetings, right? So they're outbound, cold, just trying to set up meetings for us. We have marketing who also helps us with inbound. And so my day consists of just hopping on calls with clients, doing a screen share demo, whatever that might be, and really getting to what they are looking for in terms of a partner and a product. So I would say in terms of my role, there's definitely more listening than pitching. So just really helping to understand like what the customer needs, what their budget is, what they're trying to solve. And I would say that in this day and age is going to help you win the deals, especially in the more mature or how the sales game has evolved, right? Because more and more, I mean, there's so many competitors out there, you're one of many. So if you can really drill down into what they're caring about the most, I think that's just a winning strategy there. So I would say we're just really focused on that and really, so my day-to-day would be just, meetings. Of course, taking that feedback and sharing that with my team whenever I get any kind of interesting feedback, whether that's from a competitor or whether I lost a deal and then I get that feedback from a customer, I'll share that with the team right away. But we have strong lines of communication throughout. So yeah, I would say we provide a lot of sales, helping them understand what the product is, and then just making sure that we get this data that we're collecting on the front lines back to the team so that we can act on it.
Awesome. Now, Ian, you're a product guy doing some sales. So how does your day different from what we've already heard?
Yeah, so I probably only spend about 30% of my time on active sales. So that's since about February, meaning that's customer calls, customer preparation, and then post sales. Like for example, right now I spent the past 2 days trying to update our website because our website needs a full revamp. And there's 1.5 salespeople at the company. I am, and then Chris, our CEO, but he's spending half his time doing fundraising and trying to run a company. So my job is very much product manager, sales, marketing, business development, all that stuff when we're in a 9-person company with 8 engineers or 7 engineers. Of that sales, I spent a lot of my time doing exactly what Jeff said, which was listening and trying to see if our solution fits. Because I can't remember if it was Jessica or Michaela earlier mentioning that we don't want a client that doesn't fit with our product because it's just going to cause a huge headache down the line. We want to make sure that we're offering a solution that's going to really make them happy so that they are an influencer for the rest of time. And they'll do our sales through word of mouth. So it's a lot of listening and fitting our product into what they do, and then a ton of proposal writing. We're doing large, like 6 to 7 figure deals. So I spend a lot of my time writing proposals and talking to their legal. And yeah. Okay,
so we had a question, kind of top tools. So Maggie was asking, other than HubSpot, which you can include on your list, but like, what are your top 3 tools that you use every day that are not Zoom or Slack? Jessica, let's start with you. Just top 2. Hard to choose.
Top 2, yeah, we live in Salesforce as our CRM, and then we use SalesLoft as our automation tool, and to trigger reminders and things like that, and just make our life way easier. So yeah, Salesforce and SalesLoft are our top tools for sure.
Jeff?
Yeah, we use HubSpot for our CRM there. So I would say I live in HubSpot for the most part, and on LinkedIn Sales Navigator.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I use that prolifically.
Michaela?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Jessica's route with the Salesforce. I'm living that every day, looking at our marketing campaigns through there actually at times. But then also we recently made the switch to Zoom Info. So instead of LinkedIn Sales Nav, we're going through Zoom Info, which has really helped with our strategic initiatives.
Yeah,
so,
which again makes sense because you're enterprise, right? Yeah. And Ian, top 2 tools.
Yeah, we're doing Pipedrive as our CRM, and then a lot of LinkedIn. And then the last one, is definitely the contact like Zoom Info or any other software to get you emails. That's a big one.
Hunter.io.
Hunter.io, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so Jeff, you mentioned listening is a really important thing in sales, which most people think when they're like, you see the salesperson like, hey, let me tell you, I got a deal for you. But it's actually the opposite. Like really good salespeople are like, don't talk a lot and listen a lot. So can you talk a little bit about what you think makes for a good salesperson? Like if you are like Parker Maxwell here, my friend joined us today. If you're interested in a career in sales, what do you look for? Who do you think is really well suited and can be successful? Jeff?
Yeah. That's a great question. I would say if you just naturally like to connect with people and you like to have genuine conversations and just really kind of get to the core of what they're looking for, sales is for you, for sure. Because like, I think that's what I get huge fulfillment out of my own job is, I mean, first of all, I meet really interesting people, CTOs, VPs of engineering, like they're not like, they're really cool. They're working on cool products. So it's very cool to kind of like learn more about that. But I would say, what makes a good sales rep is nowadays, especially because everyone has the best product out there, right? Everyone has the best reviews. So it's really hard for clients to cut through that noise. And so what clients I notice look for nowadays is someone who will actually kind of pay attention to what they're trying to say. Oftentimes sales folk get into the demo, they stick to the script, they can't get off the script, it's canned, and they just can't divert away from that sort of, I would say, playbook, if you will. That would hurt you more than it does, does good for you there, for sure. Just because a lot of the times, even myself, like I'll go back and review some of my calls and I'll listen to the question again, and it was completely different from how I answered it, right? And so there's a lot of folks out there who think that they might have heard it right, but yeah, I would say the best sales reps will always confirm what the question was and confirm what they were actually asking before providing the answer, right? Because we're almost kind of conditioned to be like, yeah, we have an answer for that, we have an answer for that, and just kind of spit something out right away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're trained at Tugboat to just kind of slow it down.
Yeah.
Slow the conversation down a bit, right? Don't spill all your beans out right away, and just try to kind of extract it. It's a give and take, right? And I find that part of the game really fun. And it's kind of interesting to see and try different tactics to try to, yeah, of course, play this chess match with your lead there.
So Jessica, you manage a pretty big team of entry level and kind of mid-level sales folks. What are you looking for? What do you think makes for a good salesperson?
Yeah, I think first of all, sales experience isn't actually necessary. I think that's the first thing that I would say. My team is comprised of people, from all different kinds of work histories and education histories. And having done this before doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to do it well, or that, it is what you should be doing, to be honest. So I think that's first. I think you don't need to have a big resume of all these past sales experience. But what you do need, as Jeff mentioned, is you need communication skills, and you need to be able to talk to someone and in a way that's conversational and in a way that doesn't feel sales pitchy. I heard a line once, I think it's from Sandler training, of, salespeople are paid on the information they gather, not the information that they give. And that is just, such a great way of putting the importance of listening, but also being able to ask questions that get people talking, because it doesn't help either if both people are just sitting there silently. So I think that's a big thing, the communication. And especially at an entry-level sales position, it's just that willingness to learn and to grow and to be curious and ask, why do we do things a certain way? Have we thought about doing it this way? And usually my answer is, no, I haven't thought about that. We should look at that. So I think that's a huge part of it, is that willingness to learn, and that feeds into not needing to have done it before, as long as you're willing to learn and grow and figure it out. So yeah, I think the willingness to learn and grow and the communication are huge aspects.
Great. I always used to say salespeople don't get paid by the word.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Right?
Yeah,
It's like less is more.
absolutely.
So Michaela, you're also running a team. What are the kinds of things that you're looking for?
Yeah, I think just to piggyback on everything that was mentioned, curiosity is huge, right? So why, how can we support, but also why wouldn't a deal get done? So just being able to open your blinders and not just focus on oh, they seemed excited on their call, but think of all the other things. What other stakeholders need to be involved? Who else, excuse me, should we be engaging with? So that ultimate curiosity, and also being flexible, because at the end of the day, we're, as much as we try to, we're not going to close every single deal. So how can we learn from that, be flexible, and then implement that and move forward? So I would say flexibility and being curious are kind of my two big things.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask a slightly different question. So Jessica, you mentioned, you don't have to have sales experience to get into sales. So how do you get in? There is no Bachelor of Sales degree at the University of Calgary last I checked. How do you get in?
Is this for me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think, you utilize your network, obviously. That's how you get into most jobs, is the reality of things. But that comes with your communication skills. So if you're utilizing your communication skills within your network and you're reaching out to, companies that are hiring in sales,
okay,
you
so
can tell them
you
why.
phoned me. What's up?
Oh, sorry, someone's on mute. You can explain to them why it doesn't matter that you don't have a bachelor in sales, right? And that shows your communication skills. So that's huge. I think also just, having the willingness to try something new. I think that's really scary for a lot of people. Frankly, the only reason that I even considered going into sales was just because I was really looking for a change in my career. And I really just wanted a job back in Calgary. I was living in Toronto at the time and I just wasn't loving it. So I was just looking for anything. So I was willing to go totally out of my comfort zone, try something completely new. And that was how I ended up in sales. So I think it almost takes that own self-reflection of, why am I only looking for jobs in this industry or this, job type? So willingness to try something new for sure and put yourself out there.
Michaela, anything else to add to that? How did you get into sales, and how what advice do you have for people that might be looking to get in?
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. I think I can provide a lens of when you're already in a company. So you love where you're at, but you kind of want to maybe pivot in a new direction and see where that goes. And that's kind of how I actually fell into sales. And to be honest, Carrie, your 3-2-1 was a big push with that when we were doing our kind of founder selling still with Hanif. And so I think that if you just take a step back, if you're interested in this, at the end of the day, like Ian, you're kind of always selling depending on your role. And if you can grow that curiosity and grow kind of your pitch of whatever you're working on, then you can expand into, hopefully, if you love your company, see other opportunities in there. And I will say, so I know we were chatting a little bit about HubSpot, but one thing for me, I didn't have any sales experience. So I kind of jumped right in, but there are so many free resources out there that will help walk you through what even is account-based marketing or account-based sales or lead focused efforts. So I would definitely highly recommend, if you're curious, just poke around. There's a ton of great resources out there.
Absolutely. Jeff, what about you? What advice do you have for somebody that might be looking to get into sales?
Yeah, I would say get ready for a lot of rejection. That's a guarantee, but that's okay. I mean, you're not meant to close everyone, right? So it's finding those people that you can actually help that's going to really make the job worth it. So yeah, I mean, I would say start to build a tough skin and get ready for that. And then, yeah, I mean, if you like helping people out and creating win-win scenarios, I think sales is meant for you, right? Because that's really why I do this, is when I know that I've provided value to my customer and I know that they're happy with the product and they couldn't have got what they were trying to accomplish without us, done. Yeah, that's huge gratification in terms of what we were able to do and accomplish for the clients. So yeah, I would say I find fulfillment out of that specifically. So if that's what you're looking to do, yeah, definitely get into sales. And
so Ian, you're probably the newest of this panel to sales. So advice for somebody that might kind of have a similar experience to you, what advice do you have for how they might explore sales opportunities?
Yeah, so I've only ever worked in startup sales because I've always wanted to be the startup kind of thing since I was really young. And what I've realized with startup, and I think that Carrie's 3-2-1 class put it really beautifully, was that you want to hire a builder, or you want to be a builder at the beginning, because your sales process is not going to be concrete when you get into it. You're going to really have to learn what you need to do. So what I've realized was that you're going to be pivoting a ton on your large pivots at the very beginning of your company. Are we launching next year, or are we delaying our launch 3 years down the line? And you still have to sell no matter when you're launching. But you have to be comfortable and capable to reformat your conversation with the clients. And that's one of those things that's incredibly hard to learn. And I'm still figuring it out, but it definitely took months to get comfortable with the ambiguity of startup sales. But last thing I would say on this one is that really, you always get stuck in what you and the company needs. And I think Jeff brought up a great point there, was you also need to make sure that you're actually providing a solution, and you need to find the gratitude or the happiness in getting that solution out to the market. And it's really easy to sometimes get stuck in your sales mindset of this needs to be done because I need to hit my numbers. But it's a lot easier to hit your numbers if people are happy with your solution. And I find myself getting caught by that quite often.
100%. Okay, we've only got a couple of minutes left. So who's hiring? There's a lot of people interested in exploring careers. If any of you, are any of you guys hiring for sales? And what are you looking for specifically?
Sure, I'll go. Yes, we're hiring. We're sort of always hiring right now. And with our big announcement yesterday, we have lots more open positions coming. So even, yeah, I think the public commitment was 100 new roles within the year.
Wow.
So yeah, so absolutely. I'll even throw the Absorb careers page in here, but yeah, keep an eye on that. Absolutely. We have a couple of postings up right now in the sales operations side. So a proposals coordinator position and some solutions engineer postings. But then on the more direct sales, our team's only going to be continuing to grow. So absolutely keep an eye on that.
I'll jump in there quickly as well. So I know right now, I think we have one sales position open for sales director, but Cement is always looking for kind of top talent. If you're interested, definitely reach out and I'll do the same, Jessica. I'll drop in a link to the chat.
Yeah,
Jeff?
likewise, Tugboat is also hiring. So we're looking to grow the team to 250-ish by next year. We're currently at around 100, so we're hiring across the board: product, engineering, success, sales. So definitely check out our careers page. We're hiring across. I believe that most of our team there is going to be looking for talent in Canada for the most part. So Calgary is definitely one of the markets that we are looking at actively, as well as Toronto, Vancouver. So yeah, if you know anyone or you yourself, definitely apply.
Ian, what about Wyvern?
Wish we were hiring salespeople. It'd be nice. We're hiring
You're so
engineers.
tired.
If anybody, yeah, if anybody's an engineer and wants to come build satellites, we do need some systems engineers. Sales, we are launching next year, meaning we will have sales we will be hiring within a year. So if you are interested in satellite sales, I would say keep an eye on our LinkedIn page, and I will put that in the link as well, but nothing at the moment.
Awesome.
And
So
also
I-
just quickly
sorry, go
with
ahead.
the LinkedIn thing, yeah, feel free to reach out to me directly as well if you have any questions or anything about, you know, sales and growth at Absorb and stuff like that. So I'll throw my LinkedIn in the chat as well.
So hopefully we've inspired a few folks to jump into sales. You can see that there's lots of opportunity. I think sales is an amazing gateway to lots of different careers, kind of like where Ian finds himself, where he's working in product and sales. So keep an open mind, you know, check out some of these amazing opportunities. James said Levin is also hiring. Just a couple of other things. So first off, a huge thank you to Jessica, Jeff, Michaela, and Ian for kind of sharing their experiences with us today. Wanted to just invite you to also stay in touch with 321. We know a lot of folks that are hiring, these 4 companies inclusive. Also, don't hesitate to connect with 321 or with me on social. And a couple of other things that are coming up next at 321 that might be of interest. So we run a monthly series with our friends from Platform Calgary. We call them growth snacks because just like the lunch without lunch, they're kind of like little snack size learning. Our next one is next week, and it's all about growth metrics. We also have a meetup coming up on May 13th. So hopefully we'll see you there. We have another panel. Yes, we have more great people to hear from. And we're going to talk about building and managing high-performing sales teams. And we've got 2 people. One is one of Jeff's colleagues, Mike Chessa from Tugboat. And the other one is my friend, Paul Turner, who was the head of people and the head of growth at different times at Skip the Dishes. So kind of lived through that rapid growth and management of the sales team there. So join us on May 13th. And don't hesitate to kind of think about whether our cohorts are the right thing for you. So I've lost my mouse, but I think that's it. Thank you so much. I think there's a little bit of time for those that want to hang out and do a little bit of networking. But big thanks to Rainforest for having us and to the panelists.
Thanks so much, Carrie, and thank you, panel. Sorry for some technical challenges along the way. We have some time for networking for sure. Hoping you can all stay with us till the top of the hour. We come back at 11:55 to do community announcements. Some of you are DMing me right now. If you could just save your announcements until the end. One question for you. We get this question a lot in the Rainforest for people curious about the career. We often hear that growing your network is a good way to get your resume maybe seen. And so are there any other, Carrie, you mentioned your meetup. That's awesome to hear. Are there any other networking events happening that the panel is aware of that might help some of our curious Calgarians or maybe Albertans find their way to a broader network in the ecosystem?
I would say definitely stay in touch with 321. More coming soon.
Awesome. Good to hear. Anyone else?
Yeah, with the I know we would be throwing events like, and, recruitment events, but with the pandemic and everything, it's few and far between for sure. But I'll forward some information along if we have anything that, we're putting on in terms of like a Zoom,
Awesome.
whatever. Yeah.
Great. And so for those of you who have not signed the social contract, the Rainforest social contract, once you do sign that contract, you gain access to Rainforest Slack channel, and we have conversations in there around sales, around events, and all the rest. So I will open the breakout rooms, and we will be back. Looks like we'll have time for 2 separate rooms, and then we will come back at 5 to 1. So here we go. I'm hoping our panel gets dispersed enough. Oh, these guys are all in the same room. Yeah, Ross, I'll chat with you. Is everyone okay to find the breakout button? Got quite a few left.
Did you want me to stop the cloud recording while they're in breakouts?
You know what? Whenever I do that, I just always forget to re-record. But it's up to if you want to be
I'll pause it for
re-recorded.
now then.
And that those emotional needs tied into that. So we're wondering if anyone knows of anyone that would be willing to chat with us for 20 to 30 minutes around their experiences. Interview could be over a phone call or Google Meet. And it's going to help really provide great insights into what the true needs are of people in our communities and how we can find solutions. So I will put my information in the chat as well, just a little overview of that. So please feel free to reach out. I would love to hear from you, and thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thanks, Susanna. Looks like you have a few takers there. All right, Peter, you had an announcement?
Yeah, a different announcement today. So I have a dental practice that's fairly new here in Bowness, and they're looking for a office manager that understands, of course, how to use computers and has done a little bit of medical background, but it's a really good job in a new proactive dental care facility. So anybody that's, maybe it's not a technology job, but it's certainly a good career job for somebody if they're looking for something full-time in the Bowness area.
Okay, awesome. Susanna, too, I was going to mention if you want to connect with Zachary Novak, he has a community of career seekers.
Zachary?
Yeah, you can chat with him. He's on LinkedIn. Anyone else? Graham's got a hackathon announcement there.
Yeah, if you don't mind me chiming in for
Sure.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Bridget. So yeah, I'm with Cybera. We're hosting a rural connectivity hackathon. So it's going to be occurring next month. Registrations are open for the next 9 days. And really we see it as an opportunity for those who might be new to data science and machine learning to polish their skills a little bit. We'll be hosting some workshops for people to participate in to kind of polish some skills. And really what we're trying to do is find evidence of how bridging the digital divide can help rural communities throughout Alberta. So if you have any questions, I'm on the Rainforest Slack channel, so you can always fire me a message. I've also shared the website and the link here below. So, and then finally, probably next week, we're going to be announcing data science fellowship that we'll be offering for businesses who are looking to bridge into machine learning, as well as people who are looking for real world data science experience. So more to come in the next week or so about that registration for that program that'll be occurring over the summer. So thanks.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear more. That's great. Okay, Amber's thrown in our nominate a rainforest role model. If there's someone who inspires you in the innovation scene, feel free to nominate them and we can share their story throughout our various channels. We're also doing some storytelling about founders and entrepreneurs who are maybe flying under the radar, and maybe they don't have marketing and sales resources just yet, so we can help share their story a little broader for them. And then, of course, the Rainforest Calgary Summit is on May 4th. Amber will put the link in the chat. It's a full morning event requiring full participation, so know that in advance of signing up. Anything else? And otherwise, we will wrap up for the day, but I can set up some more breakout rooms before we go. Okay, then I will do that, but I think we'll probably make just fewer because I know many will drop off here. I'll start with 4 and see how we go. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the week.